It's got a good verse coming up, but we gotta welcome you to the show. Welcome to On the Fence, where common sense and intelligence come together, and we are happy to have you. Sorry I've been gone for a little bit. I had a vacation. Can you tell? No, you can't tell. You didn't even miss me, did you? But I missed you because I have so much. There's so much. I couldn't hardly decide what I wanted to talk about today. There's some highlights, some things you probably don't care about, but some hot topics. You heard a few names out there right now that are making you question things. Same old story. Rod Rosenstein, Mueller, blah, 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 blah. These guys are colluding. There's nothing, this is what they do. And we are worried they're going to start another investigation. You have people who would like them to recuse themselves. And the thing is that back to reality, back to life, we know that for every thing we do like that, there's always a huge price to pay. So, they know that. They know that they don't have to make very much progress on this, and fine. Because you know what can happen? It can happen like every other investigation that, was in, in Holder's hands, where it just kind of disappeared because the press wasn't carrying it. The press decided they weren't going to carry it, and so therefore it doesn't exist. So let's just let that pretend like that's what's going to happen. The only thing that you can really do, you could worry that the press on that side is going to continue to carry that because just like not carrying it, it can do some serious obstruction and damage to the progress of our current president's administration. And they know that. And that's what you know as well about reality in this situation. And so therefore you think you need to worry about it. I'm summing this up. Don't worry about it. The only thing that we can do to fight that is stopping the leaks. And these leaks are what fuel their material. I mean, if they don't have anything to talk about, they make up stuff, but it has far less meat in it than things that they can get from an intelligence community or some entity like that. And that brings me up to a different subject in that, no, it's not just this deep state. Whenever you think about these leaks, you think, well, this is the deep state. This is the former intelligence for the Obama administration. That's who these people are. No, not necessarily. There are several entities that are the kind of hard-hitting major players here, and I call them the impeachment team. They have all kinds of different titles, but they, as a unit, make a very damaging machine. And you have people, I wrote down a few. Now, these do not mean everybody who's in it, but these are some of the major hard-hitting players, like I said. The deep state, the one that you think about as far as CIA, FBI, intelligence leaks like that, Jim Comey, those kind of things that almost seem out of touch for you anyway, good. But then there's people like Maxine Waters. I mean, what is that? What is wrong with her? Really? I mean, if you can't even articulate what, well, she has this huge thing that she wants to say, and she says, now let's go get Putin. And it's like, what do you mean? Why? How are we going to go get Putin? And she goes, and she literally can't think for herself, so someone else has to chime in and say, you mean Pence? Because that's even ridiculous, but they think maybe that's where she is, what planet she's on, and sometimes they're right. But yeah. So anyway, Maxine Waters, we've got Planned Parenthood, and you think, oh, what's Planned Parenthood? That's just an organization. That's just a nice little organization that helps little women. No, I would call them the dark state. They're like the deep, dark, weird state. And we'll talk a little bit more about their weirdness and their very dark situation that they have going on. And they're a major player. They have a major stake at this whole game. And how they got to be that big of a player is part of the kind of atrocity of it all, and kind of why it's so scary. And then you have the Clinton News Network. You know who they are. They are on board with whatever it is that could possibly bring Donald Trump down because they hate him. They hate him. And that's just the way it is. So we're going to have to use our silent majority power. This is where we enter and we have our power, and it can be put to use because I think our president knows this. I wouldn't say that he's counting on it because that kind of sounds like he's worried, which I don't believe he is in regards to this. I don't believe he's worried about it because I think he knows. You know, you may say, well, what about the people? I mean, they're distracted by this media. They're the ones that you should worry about, right? You should worry about their distraction and their approval polls. And maybe that's why we should second guess our president. Maybe that's why we should pull back a little bit on our support. And that's not true. Because you don't believe those polls, do you? They don't poll you. So why would he believe them? And why should you? The point is, the media believes those polls. And they believe that you buy their crap. They do. They truly do. And the more that they waste their time on things that, you know, they've regurgitated, they've convinced themselves are as good as a lobster roll, that just keeps them distracted. They can be little peacocks all they want. And the more they do that, the more that Donald Trump, our president, is in the background signing, do it, do it, do it, do it. They can't keep up. They don't get it. They sure slow things down, seemingly, but Donald Trump is moving like a freight train. I mean, he's moving at a steady pace, and it is a heavy train, and it is able to flatten you. Chop off your body parts and stuff, man. I mean, you don't need to get in front of that train. And they don't. They're easy and comfortable. They're more at ease and more comfortable with lies. Things are outrageous, things that are extreme, things that they could maybe pawn off on something they got from an anonymous source. They really don't have to own it. They're more comfortable with those things. They're lucky enough that they've had investigations and special prosecutors and stuff come out of this stuff. They're lucky the Republicans like to do things by the book, so that when it's their turn, they can argue that you have to do things by the book. You know, that's just how it works. But here's proof. A, you know they don't poll busy Republicans, right? They don't poll you. You've never, I don't know if you've gotten polls. I don't answer the phone. So why they even have a job right now, I don't know. But B, a reporter, I can't remember her name, but I promise you it's legit, I heard it. A reporter said in regards to never knowing what Trump will do next, she was saying the Trump administration is so discombobulated, they're so disorganized, they don't have, and Donald Trump himself is incapable of telling you what the plan is, incapable of telling us what's happening. It's not that he doesn't want us to know. Couldn't be that. But it could be that he's so disorganized and so just retarded that he can't tell us and articulate what he's doing. So that's what she was saying. She says, quote, Donald Trump isn't a detail guy. Are you kidding me? This guy is so detailed. He plans so far in advance. I feel like he has a flippin' time machine. Like he goes back and he like plans these things because there's no way that these things lay out so perfectly as they do. And they really do. But I guess that goes to show that if you do put your mind to it, this is the example. Putting your mind in the realm that this is what you want to do someday and making sure that you represent that vision of yourself. You have ethics. So what I would like you to think is this is a great bit of confidence you should have in your president, and that there is a great deal of proof that he has planned everything and that he is majorly a detail person. But they don't get it. They literally don't understand what he's doing. So like I said, they stay away from things they don't understand. And he's all about the details. I mean, he's discounted by them. He's made to look like he has no idea what's going on, even though he's the one with the experience, even though he's the one that happens to show you how this thing works, because he's been there. He's been in the life with these kind of scummy people. He's lived with these fake people. He's studied them soberly. He's studied them. That's the point. And he's learned from them, and he's learned from that experience, and he's taken it so seriously that he knows to stay away from them. He stays away from people he doesn't trust. And there's probably so much misinformation given out just from simply not being included in a loop that, you know, you just have to, there's so much fake news out there. There's so much that's not even considered fake news. Just talking about it makes it so or not so, like I said, by the press. We're going to take a small commercial break, and we will be right back. And, I mean, really.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of it. Today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burger, where we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80/20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, nice half a pound of burger, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
devil are you doing in the street dressed like that?
Sheriff, I'm the kilted realtor. I'm here to sell this house. You know, Scottish, kilt.
Oh, yes, I get it. Like Braveheart. Just like Braveheart.
Yes, sir. Whatever works, Sheriff.
So tell me now, how exactly do you sell a house dressed like that?
Well, Sheriff, my name is Corey McDonald, and we Scots are known for a hard work ethic and that we can be trusted.
Oof, that gives me an idea. Do you think that you could help me get
Hey
my
there,
young
how's it
son
going?
Junior in a house?
Well, Sheriff, I'd be proud to
Rocky.
find Junior a house
We'll start in a
and
minute.
walk him
I've
through
got a
step
commercial
by
going
step.
on right now.
I
and
can't
will
wait to
introduce
tell
you,
Junior
and then
he's
we'll
moving out.
have an intelligent
Well, Sheriff,
conversation.
you tell Junior and
Excited?
anyone else you know they can reach me at 832-638-2379
I've
or
got
go to my
no technical
website,
difficulties that I'm gonna complain about.
kilted-realtor.com.
Not yet.
This is my lucky day. So long, Junior. You got a new home thanks to the Gilford Realtor.
All right, we are back with our guest, Rocky Romanella. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, outstanding. I'm excited to be on this call with you today. I look forward to speaking with you and your audience.
Well, thank you very much. Now, I didn't introduce you completely. Rocky Romanella, he is of 360 Management Services. He is an author of a book as well called Tighten the Lug Nuts. It's the Principles of Balanced Leadership. It's wonderful because that's what we're all about on this show, as far as getting expertise from an individual who has the experience. And how do you get experience? Is that you actually go out there and you're in the world of reality, and you learn some values and learn some experience to pass on to others and be a good leader if that's what you want. And Rocky is our expert today. And he runs now the management company. Is it a talent management seeker type of company?
No, Lacee, so we are I guess you could say, leadership development type of organization. We have three legs of our stool, one of which is keynote speaking, which I do predominantly, as well as...
That's okay. I'm just turning up the volume.
Is that mine or you?
I turned up the volume. You might have to turn yours down.
Okay, I'm sorry. Want me to go ahead and start again?
Yeah, no, go ahead. I just was like, I wanted to clarify for other people that it's not that you guys are a management company, it's that you guys are more of a management guru company.
Yeah, oh, that would be a nice way to...
Okay, good.
Yes. Yeah, we do leadership training, we do keynote speaking, motivational speaking, and then we do have a consulting piece of the business, very much around process improvement, process management.
All right. Well, but we're really interested today is that how we can learn from you. What are some key things that we need to remember if we want to be successful in this world where we are so critical of ourselves? It's almost like these fails that we have, even not so hard fails, it's hard to kind of get back up and keep going. What is your advice for people to keep going and keep trying, and what are some key points there?
Well, no matter what you do in life, and especially on the business side, I think there are two very important ingredients, and it's hard work and enthusiasm. And hard work without enthusiasm is just that. Hard work gets old. So you have to find ways to keep yourself motivated. You have to find ways to have some fun doing it. And I think that's so important, because when you have those difficulties, and you are going to have them. I mean, anybody that tells you in a perfect world or
Right.
everything they touch turns to gold is really not telling you the truth. I mean, I always say there's 3 times in your career or in your life that's when everything's going well, and that's about 20% of the time. Most times things are just doing okay. But then you're always going to have that 1 or 2 times where nothing seems to fit, nothing seems to work. You may be working for a bad manager or a boss, you just don't connect well, or it just seems like everything you touch goes the other way. And that's when you have to drive through that. That's when your character really shines through. And diversity or adversity doesn't defined character. It reveals it. It really shows who you are and what you stand for and what are the things you won't compromise and how you're going to conduct yourself through that difficult time. But I think it starts with that concept of it's all about hard work and enthusiasm and finding a way to motivate yourself and your people.
And making good choices, especially, when it's, in regards to the future. If you always keep that in mind, even if you don't really know what you want to do in the future, your book is all about that, right? Tighten the lug nuts. Maybe a good book for young people, high school students going into making some big life-changing decisions soon. What are your, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the book's about leadership, and although I had a wonderful 36-year career at UPS, I don't talk about UPS in the book necessarily because my feeling was, as I read books growing up and developing, I would read a book, and if it was by Jack Welch and the GE Way, for example, I'd look at the book and say, there's some good things in there, but I don't work for GE. And so I tried to write a book that allowed people to understand that there are some important, things about being a leader that's universal of being a good leader. And I think leadership is more than just the title of a manager or CEO. I think we're all at one time or another because we influence people. Some of the greatest leaders I know are teachers. Think about the influence that they have over their students. And think about, I tell people often, if I asked you who your congressman or congresswoman was or who the mayor of your town was, most people wouldn't know that. But if I said to them, hey, can you name that teacher that made a difference in your life? Everybody would stop, tilt their head, and say, oh, yeah, 5th grade, so-and-so, or 6th grade, Mrs. So-and-so, or Mr. So-and-so. Because teachers have that impact, right? They make a difference in your life. They're mentors, they're leaders. And so I think that's what leadership's all about. Do you leave it a little better place than you found it? And we talk a lot about that in the book, about legacy. And to me, legacy is you leave it a little better place than you found it. Are people better because of their time with you? Are your customers better because of their interaction with you and you handle their products and services potentially? Or are your shareholder stakeholders better because of their time with you? And I think that's what leadership, that's what legacy is all about. And, my dad, when I started my job at UPS, June 15th, 1976, told me two things. And to your question about young people today going into the world, my dad told me two things. Whatever they ask you to do, say yes and thank you. And then he said to me, learn your job and then learn some more. And the day you think you know everything is the day you're starting to go backwards. And so as I was growing at UPS, I went to college to be a high school history teacher and a baseball coach. So I had no desire or no blueprint of doing what I ended up doing. But as I grew within UPS and had a promotion from within policy, as these new challenges became available to me, I thought about what my dad said, say yes and thank you. So I would look at them and they'd say, hey, we got this opportunity for you in Chicago. Okay, if you think I can do it, kind of gain that kind of self-confidence, right? Because in many cases, the organization sees more in you than you see in yourself until you're ready to believe in yourself. And that's the other thing I think great leaders do. They believe in their people until their people are ready to believe in themselves. And that's such an important part because none of us, have that much confidence. There may be some arrogant people that that you think do, but at the end of the day, nobody has that much self-confidence where I got this.
Yes.
You say that because you believe that's what you're supposed to say.
Yes.
But deep down, you're like, okay, am I over my head? Do I have all the information I need? Do I got the skills to do this?
Right.
And that's when a good leader recognizes that vulnerability in their people and says, you know what, I need to believe in Lacee until Lacee's ready to believe in herself.
That's really amazing distinction. I haven't heard that yet. I've known that, and I've actually been experiencing that lately, very close to home. You're speaking to my heart, Rocky, right now. In that it's, you definitely are going to doubt yourself because you haven't done it before. And then someone comes along and says from their experience, it looks like you have the potential to do it. And it's, it's hard not to say to that boss or that superior anything but thank you. Because it's kind of like, you can't be bloviating or boasting about something you haven't done. And you can't really say, well, I suck either, because that's not helping anybody. Oh, that's great. I love this distinction about, it's not really envisioning some title or some specific, really, you can. but it's not necessary to have that success. It's what you're doing right now as far as enjoying something and getting into the experience and getting into something that's maybe outside of your box. That's what I always tell younger kids is like when they ask me what they need to do in college or high school to get experience, it's just like do something that you're interested in, but it's a little outside of your box. If you're interested in international studies, go work for, a Chinese-based company or a Japanese-based company or something like that. But you have this wonderful book. I'm so excited.
Go ahead.
Uh,
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, before you said your dad had influenced you, I was about to say, what were your parents like? And what did they say to you to make you make smarter decisions? I mean, in a day where adversity isn't always our biggest problem, it's almost like a complacency is a problem among our kids.
Well, I think the core thing my dad said to me that always stuck with me, and I would say is the hallmark of who I am today as an individual, is he made a statement to me, it's what you do when no one's watching that counts. Now, I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit and summarizing a little, but my dad in his own way basically said, hey, look, it's what you do when no one's watching that counts. Now, of course, as a young teenager, I said to him, Dad, that's the best part, nobody's watching. You just ruined the best part of things,
Right.
And he would laugh and he said to me, no, two people are always watching. And he said, the man upstairs, and then you always look in the mirror, and you always have to live with the decisions you make. And so that always stuck with me. It's what I do when no one's watching that counts. Do I take that extra step? Do I do whatever I can to learn the most I can about my job or about who I would like to be? And what is it, I would always say, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish here? When I was going to college to be a high school history teacher, I loved this teaching and coaching. That was my passion. And so when I started working for UPS, I got promoted to a part-time supervisor. And so people would say to me, well, how do you believe that those two things connected? And do you ever feel that you maybe, kind of never fulfilled your dream or aspiration? And I thought it was the opposite. I sat there and thought to myself as a supervisor, if I really am going to be the best supervisor I can, I have to be a good teacher. I have to give people the vision the way a teacher would give me the vision and have light bulbs go off over the students' heads that they're really getting it and they're connecting dots. To me, that's what good leadership was about. That's what being a good supervisor or manager was, the ability to have their people connect the dots. And so for me, this was just an extension of teaching. Instead of being a baseball coach, I was being the coach of the team I was managing at that time inside of UPS. And later on, as I moved through the ranks of UPS and later on retired and took on a role as a CEO, I always viewed my primary role as a teacher and a communicator and have, being the person who had the ability to have people connect dots. And so to your point, people leave college today, young people leave college today, and they have a vision of this is what they want to do. But there are some things that are really well connected. So I would always say to people, think about what the core skill is that you want to do. For me, it was teaching and educating and getting people to connect dots. Well, if that's what your core is, if that's what you're really trying to accomplish, then there's a lot of other fields that touch that besides the traditional teacher in a classroom, which I think is a great profession and I have tremendous respect and admiration for. But I was able to do it as a supervisor manager and still kind of somewhat fulfill that teaching feeling and aspiration.
Well, that's good advice. That's good advice for the adults everywhere as well. And making those relationships stronger. I know, for example, many people in higher up executive positions, they, I don't know if it was always this way when maybe in the downturn of the economy when people were really afraid of losing their jobs and sort of things, if they were putting so much effort into getting relationships going on, or maybe they got stronger because they were afraid of losing their jobs. But I know that the valuable relationships that were created, the real ones between bosses and their employers, have really paid off and have really lasted a long time. And now they relieve each other as far as stress goes. Your boss isn't always the one that never has any problems, you know. It's almost sometimes the employee kind of needs to be that shoulder to cry on and things like that. I don't know. Have you experienced that as being kind of the one value that you've experienced in your workplace?
Well, I think you're articulating a very important point, and it starts with you as the leader believing it's not about you.
Being
and
a
once
servant.
you believe that, I mean, I think that's one of the major mistakes that supervisors, managers, leaders make, is that they internalize, they make it about them. It's not about you, it's about your people, and it's about what you're trying to accomplish as a team. And, you know, think about it. How many times have you worked for someone who would sit there and say, you don't know what it's like to be me, I have to go to the meetings, and I have to, you know, you don't know the pressure I'm under, and your people kind of look at you like, well, that's what you signed on for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now you're internalizing. So that's the first barrier, and sometimes a hurdle that can't be overcome. But if you take the approach, it's not about me, it's about us, it's about what we're trying to accomplish, then you realize that we're all good people just trying to do our jobs. I may have the title of CEO, but that doesn't make me any more important than the person doing the work. In fact, I would argue the person doing the work at the front line is the most important person in your organization. They represent your brand, they're the closest to the customer, they can solve problems at the lowest level possible. So you start to realize it's not about me. I'm not the most important person in the organization. In fact, the most important person in the organization is that person closest to my customer. It's the supervisor, manager, leader closest to our people. That's the most important thing. And then all of a sudden you kind of flip it around so that you're really not the top of the pyramid, they are. And once that happens, you can have different conversations. You don't feel, well, you know, you have more confidence in your ability to talk to your people because you realize that you both have a job to do and you both really want to do the best you can. And together you can work that out. You don't feel as vulnerable. You don't feel like you're conceding authority. In fact, you're empowered at that point.
Well, what a metaphor for my next question. Sorry to get political on you. Are you ready? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
You had to know. You had to know, looking at my show. But what do you think about, you know, the current leadership? And I mean the current president administration. I'm sure you have another opinion about establishment leadership, but for right now, what do you think in regards to, you know, the rhetoric about what's going on versus what's actually going on? Do you think there's, what do you think about that leadership?
Well, my concern from a political point of view rests, and I know this is going to seem like a squirmy answer, but really rests on both sides.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern. And if you think about the book, so the book is called Tighten the Lug Nuts, and just on a really high level, that's one of the many stories in the book. But in that particular story, you know, a loose lug nut, you know, is a problem, but you know, it's an important problem, but it's not urgent until you forget to tighten the lug nut. Then you don't tighten the lug nut, now you're driving down the road and the front wheel falls off, now all of a sudden it's urgent.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, is, you know, people can only handle so many important things, I mean urgent things, but if you allow important things to become urgent, well then now you're overwhelmed. If you think about it from that perspective, well, think about
time management.
So you have the Republican Party spent 7 years talking about Obamacare was a loose lug nut.
Yeah.
It was important. Now it's urgent, and now they're overwhelmed.
Now the plane is crashing. Right.
Right. Now the Democratic Party is not in power. They're doing nothing. They got loose lug nuts all over. They won't do anything about it. And then if they come back in power someday, what ends up happening then is you end up with they'll have you know, important things becoming urgent.
Right.
That's where I find the biggest disconnect. Just take care of your jobs.
Yeah,
it's
do your
not
job.
About you.
Just do your job.
It's about the country. It's about all the people in the country, and I think that's one of my, you know, concerns as I look at both parties. I think, you know, as a general rule, I think I was very, you know, I was happy to see a business person running the country only because I think that there's a delegation that has to happen, right? There are a lot of good people inside an organization, inside the country. There's a lot of excellent people trying to run the country. I mean, I think it's good to see, you know, the different cabinet members. You see more of them. You see more of those kinds of things. But I think as a general rule, I always go back to that concept of it's not about you. It's about, you know, it's about the people. Mm-hmm. And I think that there needs to be a little bit more of that. I'm not a big fan of. I don't.
It's
I
okay.
do not like the concept of I build myself up by building somebody else.
Right.
By breaking somebody else down.
Yes.
I'd rather say nothing than say something negative.
And and it can only come back to bite you too, right? It's just it can get bad. It can be create more lug nuts that are loose, right?
Yeah, ain't no tightening them.
There's no tightening them. Oh my God.
No tightening them. I mean, what do both parties. I mean, like you're leaving these loose lug nuts all over the place, the wheel falls off, and then part that drives me crazy, whether it's in business or watching this stuff go on. Now you want me to feel sorry for you. Oh, you don't know how much legislation we have to pass.
I didn't.
Well, if you tighten, it's like when in the book, and you read the book, the story goes that I was talking to this one supervisor. I told him about the loose lug nuts, and then later on I go to see him about something else, and he's like, "Oh, flustered. What happened? Wow, the wheel almost fell off." I said, "But didn't I tell you about the loose lug nuts?" He said, "Yeah." So why don't you just tighten it? We're taking you 5 minutes. Well, I got sidetracked. Okay, but now you want me to feel sorry for you because you didn't tighten the lug nuts. I'm not feeling sorry for you guys because you didn't sit down in a room someday and say, the minute we get a chance, this is what it's going to look like.
Well, this is what children do. This is what children do to tell you why they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and they tried to do the next thing, but they couldn't get to that either. And well, we are on the same page.
It's both parties too, by the way.
There's a third.
Republican, Independent, Green, Yellow party. Pick a color.
It does exactly.
The bottom line is tighten the lug nuts. So I think people will enjoy the book because it can help you in your life as well as in business and in leadership.
Well, maybe they should read your book. I mean, if we could only get them to read a book. Oh, good grief.
Yes. Get every congressman and every senator to read the book, and then we got, okay, now think about this. You allow important things always to become urgent, and then you want us all, hardworking people, to feel bad for you. Well, you don't understand. I mean, who gets a month's vacation and then complain that there's too much to do?
Yeah, well, and it makes them, it's almost like, what is that, Munchausen syndrome by proxy. It's like as soon as there's something going wrong, they're like, but listen to me. I'm on the news. I got a bid on Fox News or something, to talk about what I'm going to do or not do about it. And what I'm not going to do about it, or I'm going to do about it, what we should do about it, and they don't do anything. I think that's the point, is that they do bloviate a lot, like you said, like kids. They never intend on doing anything. We need them to read the book. We need to read your book. It's wonderful. Again, it is Tighten the Lug Nuts, The Principles of Balanced Leadership by Rocco. Did it say Rocco, or is it Rocky?
Well, it's Rocky. Yeah, well, Rocco's my official name, but everyone calls me Rocky. So the book's title, in the book it says Rocky Romanella, yeah.
Remember Romanella. All right, go and get that book.
There you go.
Rocky, we are so blessed to have you with us today. Thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you come on again, because this is exactly the kind of stuff we want to talk about. And I also wanted to talk to you more about this, but we ran out of time. Instilling these kind of principles in younger kids and how that could affect, the future of these disadvantaged kids and kids that have real problems in monetary status, all that kind of stuff. If we could get some programs where, we could get them the life skills. Not everybody can join Boy Scouts. But we want to talk more about that. What your viewpoints on that? We've talked to a few people who run programs, but you have the essence of what I'm talking about, and what needs to happen for some of these younger individuals moving on, and those who are just stagnant. We got a lot that are just stagnant, and they're being used by political parties and all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's where we are really concerned, and we're happy that you came on and gave us a little bit more of that essence. So whatever your age, go and check out Rocky's book. Again, Rocky Romanella and Tighten the Lug Nuts, The Principles of Balanced Leadership. Rocky, have a good evening. I hope to talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Lacey. Be safe, and I will talk to you all soon.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that's wonderful that we've had Rocky with us. We are going to take a small commercial break, and we will be right back.
Hi, my name is Chris. Restaurant. And today I'm gonna walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We're using fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh ingredients. Alright, this is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers, where we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80/20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, nice half a pound of burger, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit. Order up!
What the devil are you doing in the street dressed like that?
Sheriff, I'm the kilted realtor. I'm here to sell this house. You know, Scottish, kilt.
Oh, yes, I get it. Like Braveheart. Just like Braveheart.
Yes, sir. Whatever works, Sheriff.
So tell me now, how exactly do you sell a house dressed like that?
Well, Sheriff, my name is Corey McDonald, and we Scots are known for a hard work ethic and that we can be trusted.
Oof, that gives me an idea. Do you think that you could help me get my young son Junior in a house?
Well, Sheriff, I'd be proud to find Junior a house and walk him through step by step.
I can't wait to tell Junior he's moving out.
Well, Sheriff, you tell Junior or anyone else you know they can reach me at 832-638-2379 or go to my website, kilted-realtor.com.
This is my lucky day. So long, Junior. You got a new home thanks to the Kilted Realtor.
That's my dedication to President Trump. Because I think he dances to his own beat, and I think he's lightning on his feet, and that's what you don't see. Are you ready? That was my cheesy moment. Did you miss it? I forgot to tell you I was going to do that to you. I'm sorry. But that's what I'm saying. Shake it off. Shake it off. And another bit of good news, we are looking at a new era. And I may be saying this out of maybe hope, but I think there's a different sentiment here, a different nuance about the discussion about abortion. Now, this has been talked about as a major political issue, but no one has been able to touch it with a 9-foot pole. No one has been willing to touch it with a 9-foot pole. No one talks about it. The closest they have gotten to it as the Democratic Party has been very vocal about it being pro-choice is the only option, is the only thing that you can believe. And the reason is because anything contrary to that is anti-women, especially minority women. And the truth is that abortion is brutal. It is very, very bad for women's health. And you have an entire organization, like I said, Planned Parenthood, that claims it's for women's health, but yet it doesn't do anything for women's health but abortions, which is contrary to women's health. It doesn't do anything for women's health. You don't feel better after an abortion. Mentally, physically, it can possibly ruin your chances to ever have children again, and you never get over it. Women who are actually willing to talk about it, and the reason they don't talk about it is because everyone says don't talk about it. You don't need to talk about it. The men don't want to talk about it. The deferment of responsibility, people say, well, I wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't tell someone else they can't do it, blah, 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 blah. The women who do talk about having an abortion or having multiple abortions always express some form of guilt. And especially when they talk about it in regards to knowing how many people are infertile out there, can't have babies, you get different when you grow up. That's just all it is to it. And these people on the liberal left want to leave it open for as many women to be damaged as possible. That's their goal, but they won't say that. They say it's for women's health. But anyway, they're the ones that have been more vocal about it, so how can you blame them for that being the environment that we're in? Well, I think that's changing a little bit, and here's my proof. We don't have very much time, but we can go into the next hour. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the defection. You know what I'm talking about? The defection of some on the other side. Thank God. Hopefully there'll be more. But the abortion issue, I think, is getting a little bit more tread in the regards for the pro-life movement. And let me just play a clip for you. I usually don't play the competition, but you got to know that they're not all evil. They're kind of like the Russians. There's some good guys, and you got to play with them to get anything done. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, that's it. Laura Ingraham was replaying it of Tucker. And there's a couple that he did. First, he's talking to this dude who decided, or he's talking about what the Democrats and the liberal left had decided as what a fetus is, in that it doesn't have any rights until it leaves the body of the woman. Until whatever it is, fetus, baby, whatever you want to call it, it flat out doesn't have any rights until it leaves the body. And then, kind of after a few minutes, then, okay. This is what he's saying. Just read. And then the second one is an actual former Planned Parenthood director who has defected to the pro-life side and is trying to do her part to expose what they actually do. So we've got about 4 minutes. Let's just play one little part of it.
Tucker had a heated argument recently with Democracy for America, challenging him about the morality of abortion when a fetus is capable of surviving outside the womb.
There are people who have real concerns, moral concerns about abortion that aren't rooted in their desire to oppress women. these are real questions. And when you spew mindless propaganda about choice and medical procedures and blah, 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 it kind of blurs what is a really important question, like, do you have the right to take a life? Do you see that at all?
I think what you're confusing is the question of who has the right to make decisions about their own lives.
So you're saying it's okay. So, but you concede that it's the taking of a life at that stage. If the child can live outside the womb, that's killing. Would you just concede that, or are you going to pretend it's not?
Once a baby is outside of a womb, then you have rights. You're an individual. Until that happens, you can't exist without being out of the womb.
Tucker recently spoke to former abortion clinic worker Abby Johnson about what really goes on inside the walls of Planned Parenthood.
How long did you work at Planned Parenthood?
I was there for 8 years.
And what did you do while you were there?
I was the clinic manager, so I took care of just the day-to-day operations, hiring and firing personnel, making sure that our budgets were maintained, including our abortion quota that we had to maintain every month. So that was pretty much my job.
By that you mean you had to perform a certain number of abortions in that clinic every month?
That's right. So every abortion facility within Planned Parenthood has a monthly abortion quota that they must meet.
Why?
That's how they make their money. About 50% of their income is just cash from abortion services. And so in order to keep their clinics open, they have to sell so many abortions.
But what about all the mammograms and life-saving work they do?
Yeah, you know, funny about mammograms, there's not a Planned Parenthood in the country that provides mammogram services. They don't provide prenatal care. They don't do a lot of the things that they say that they do.
So basically it's an abortion clinic.
Pretty much, yeah. They provide a few things, STD testing and birth control, but they provide birth control because, according to their own numbers, 54% of women who have abortions were using birth control at the time that they got pregnant. So they know that that's just a way to get these young girls, especially, I mean, I'm 37 years old. I couldn't remember to take a pill at the same time every day. So, you know, get these young girls in there, put them on a pill with or a method with a high human error rate, and eventually they're going to end up pregnant, and that's another way to sell them an abortion.
So they also sell fetal tissue, baby parts, and you saw that happen. What are the economics of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to close out for this hour, and we're going to start a whole new hour of greatness and wonderness. You're just going to be so excited to be with us and never turn us off. Okay, so thank you to our guest, Rocco Romanella. We love you. Please check out his book, Tighten the Lug Nuts. And if you want to email me, if you have any questions, you want to comment on anything we have shown you today or commented on for you, you can email us at theravenmessage7@gmail.com. That's the Raven Message, the number 7 at gmail.com. And again, thanks to our guest and thanks to tecntv.biz. All right. And let's play another commercial and then we'll get right back to it.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh ingredients. Alright, this is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous chicken, tilapia, and grits. Our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers, where we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA round chuck ham patty burgers, nice half a pound of burger, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit. Order up!
What the devil are you doing in the street dressed like that?
Sheriff, I'm the kilted realtor. I'm here to sell this house. You know, Scottish, kilt.
Oh, yes, I get it. Like Braveheart. Just like Braveheart.
Yes, sir. Whatever works, Sheriff.
So tell me now, how exactly do you sell a house dressed like that?
Well, Sheriff, my name is Corey McDonald, and we Scots are known for a hard work ethic and that we can be trusted.
Oof, that gives me an idea. Do you think that you could help me get my young son Junior in a house?
Well, Sheriff, I'd be proud to find Junior a house and walk him through step by step.
I can't wait to tell Junior he's moving out.
Well, Sheriff, you tell Junior and anyone else you know they can reach me at 832-638-2379 or go to my website, kilted-realtor.com.
This is my lucky day. So long, Junior. You got a new home thanks to the Kilted Realtor.
Shake.
Hey guys, welcome to On the Fence. I'm your host, Lacee Steigerwald, aka The Raven, and on the fence, we hope that common sense and intelligence come together and we make some progress. That's my dedication to our president right now. We were talking in the last hour about just not really paying attention to the haters and the hate and the players, because they think that you're paying attention. They think that you're buying into the crap. That they believe their own stuff, and we've had a lot of proof lately that they're kind of chasing their own tails, and that's a good thing. I wouldn't say that the president counts on it, because that would indicate that he might be worried in some respects, but because I don't think he's worried. I don't think our president is worried about that. I think he's worried about other things, but as far as the press is concerned, chasing their own tails is a good thing, and you being above all of that and really having the experience enough to know that he's working for you. You're the customer. our last guest, Rocky Romanella, was explaining, how he works in his business, and that's, it's not about you, the CEO. It's about the customer. There's a lot of different entities, but really what it comes down to is the customer, and if you want to think about it that way, fine. We are the silent majority that actually does have some power in respect to maybe not kicking people out when we want to, because remember, they're talking about Mueller and Rosenstein, and they should recuse themselves, but we can't recuse them because you can't replace them. Well, not very easily anyway, and they know that. And so you kind of think your hands are tied, but you don't know. You haven't trusted before. If you think about it, the former presidents and what they've said to us, every single one of them, Republicans and Democrats alike, you really, it's hard pressed to find one that you could absolutely trust. Is that right? I mean, so I don't blame you. I don't blame you for feeling like, okay, when am I supposed to take a step back? When am I supposed to hold back on my enthusiasm for this president in the United States of America? Oh, okay, when the Republican Congress acts like complete asinine children and can't do anything progressive to save their lives. We, in the silent majority who actually take the word progressive literally, are having a hard time translating that. And I get that. I don't blame you for thinking that. But you've got to know that we can't always get excited about every little thing that the press wants us to believe is a big deal. It could very well be, but let's talk about the stuff that really is a big deal. Trump's in the background signing on all these executive orders, deregulating things. You have no idea the extent of these things, and I trust that because you don't see them in real time always happening, that you think maybe that's not moving things forward. But what I would let you in on, what I think, I would let you in on my theory, that's what I'm trying to say, is that you've got this. Like, it's not as complicated as it looks. And he's giving you license to be the best that you want to be. He's giving you license to fight back on a lot of things. It's kind of, that's how the Twitter thing works. If you're worried about this verbal outage of things and why doesn't he go through the email or why doesn't he go through there, he's all about truth. And Twitter is out in the open, so you can't deny what that he said it or what he did. So if he puts it out there, then it's out there. But the thing is that you have to also read between the lines, and especially if you're in his leadership or if you are on his support team, you got to know that he's trying to give you license to take an action. And if you are upset that you don't know what to do, take action on something. But at the very least, take action against turning these people off and not buying their crap. I think he's here all about the business, and you could take that as a metaphor or not, but it's what the business is doing in our country that is really telling as far as how good our lives are doing. How are the small businesses? How are they growing? How many people are they hiring? Do you see lots of signs out there that say for hire? And let me just put this out there. First, let me play you a video, because this is what our president is all about. This is another metaphor, if you like metaphors. This is from a movie called They Live. And I know you've seen it if you're a weirdo like me. The aliens are the ones. He's got sunglasses on so he can see the aliens. There's regular people and there's aliens. It didn't load the whole thing. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to do it again later. Go look up They Live, and we'll do that. Oh no, he said it, didn't he? I just can't hear it. That's our president. He's here to chew bubble gum or get some stuff done, and it looks like he's all out of bubble gum. What we were talking about in the last show is the abortion thing, and I say the abortion thing, to premise is, well, we were talking about how the environment was that it's a big, hot political issue, abortion. Everybody has to be on one side or the other. But it really seems like no one was talking about it. It doesn't seem like anybody was actually having a conversation about it. No one was having an intelligent conversation. No one's talking common sense about it. Nothing. The only people that were actually talking about it, talking out about it, no conversation, is the liberal left, who wants you to believe that a woman's body is her body and she can chop off out whatever parts she wants. And a doctor who took a Hippocratic oath can go ahead and chop off whatever body parts or chop out any body parts that you have because you don't need them. They're inconvenient. And they want to sell you that that's okay. And that's a good thing. And that's women's health. When the reality is that it's bad for women's health. It's mentally destructive. It's physically destructive. You know. But they won't even let you look at a sonogram before you have one, just in case you don't know what's in there. They're against that too. Well, it looks like you've got some people talking about it, and people talking about it on our side. And typically I would not have the competition clipped on my show, but they're not really competition if you think about it like I do. I mean, we're all on the same team, and you gotta go to where people are speaking the truth. And this is one of them. So Tucker Carlson is taking on abortion. He feels very strongly about it, and he had two guests on. One trying to convince everybody that a woman's body is what owns the baby inside it. Whatever you want to call it, a fetus, a baby, whatever. The woman, who could be competent or not, apparently owns the right of the child within her. And currently, I'm sure that's the law. But that kind of rhetoric is just dumb. Because what he's saying is, okay, you're a man, you're a human being. If someone was saying, I'm going to destroy the baby that's very viable, if we took it out, we could do that, or we could kill it. You are trying to say that it's okay. And they won't say it. They will not say that it's okay. They will say, I wouldn't do it myself, but I wouldn't say that it's a right. It's always the right of the mom. The deferment, the deferment, the deferment. Because this is the first time that someone has ever actually engaged in an argument with them and said, this is not right. You are encouraging women to do something that is not good for them and saying it's good for them. And now you've got the Democratic Party. The main spokespeople are saying that you can't be a part of the Democratic Party if you are anti-abortion. If you are pro-life or anti-abortion, whatever you want to label it as, you do not belong in the Democratic Party. And you had one fool, Paul Spencer, God bless him, coming on Ainsley, Friends and Fox and Friends this morning with Ainsley. And, he's got defective Democrat dysphoria is really what he has, and he's very confused, but he wants to come out and tell everybody that no, Democrats accept pro-life people because he's pro-life. He believes that that life starts, and you can't just take that out of a woman. That's not as simple as it is, and he's trying to say that, and Ainsley is like, but why are you a Democrat? She cuts it very dry. Why are you a Democrat? And he's just like, well, by the way, no one on the Democratic side is really supporting him. He's just coming out and trying to say that the Democrats accept him, hoping that it's true. And she's saying, maybe you shouldn't, really put your loyalty towards them because I don't think they like you very much. And, she doesn't say anything mean. And he's saying, Ainsley's saying, I don't think you really want to be a Democrat. And he's saying, I am a Democrat because once the baby is born, the Democrats have a reputation for being more open, about caring for the mother, whatever status she's in, because often there's a trauma involved in the birth, and she can't take care of it. So who's going to take care of her? But the Democrats, the Republicans aren't going to take care of her. That's what he was trying to convey. And then Ainsley's like, okay, so they have a reputation for caring about women, not a real track record of actually caring for women, but and I'm not talking about Democrats, individuals themselves that volunteer and are social workers and that sort of thing. I'm talking about the Democratic Party actually doing something for women. He was like, I don't know, I just feel like they have a reputation for that after the baby is born. And she goes, but they support Planned Parenthood and abortions. So why are you a Democrat? So anyway, I think he has, defection of the brain, and it's got a little bit of a dysphoria as far as what he should do. Now, no Democrat is going to be caught dead calling themselves a Republican, right? Wrong. Jim Justice, of West Virginia, he's decided he can't be a Democrat anymore. He doesn't have dysphoria. He's like, nope, I can't, I don't wanna, and I'm not gonna call myself a Democrat anymore. So, I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of that. I wish there was. I hope there is. I hope there's less dysphoria and more, hey, you know what? I'm going to get on this bandwagon. Because if I'm the critical mass that tips this over and we get Obamacare fixed or repealed, whatever you want to call it, I know it's complex, okay? I know that it is. And I know that I'm up here saying it's not as hard as it looks, but I'm just talking about that you had plenty of time to do something as far as coming up with a plan and coming up with more details that would give us the illusion that you knew what you were doing up there. But anyway, let's take a commercial break real quick, and we will be right back. I'll show you Ainsley in just a moment.
The affiliate where I worked, we sold.
Or we can watch the rest of this video.
The whole body for about $200.
Should I restart it? Yeah, let's restart it.
Tucker had a heated argument recently with Charles.
So there's two guests, like I said. The first one who wants to convince you that the body of a woman is the end-all, be-all. There is no fetus or baby in there as far as you're concerned.
There are people who have real concerns, moral concerns about abortion that aren't rooted in their desire to oppress women. These are real questions, and when you spew mindless propaganda about choice and medical procedures and blah, 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 it kind of blurs what is a really important question, like, do you have the right to take a life? Do you see that at all?
I think what you're confusing is the question of who has the right to make decisions about their own lives.
So you're saying it's okay, but you concede that it's the taking of a life at that stage. If the child can live outside the womb, that's killing. Would you just concede that, or are you going to pretend it's not?
Once the baby is outside of a womb, then you have rights. You're an individual. Until that happens, you can't exist without being out of the womb.
Tucker recently spoke to former abortion clinic worker Abby Johnson about what really goes on inside the walls of Planned Parenthood.
How long did you work at Planned Parenthood?
Okay, so that was the guy. And here's Ainsley talking to the other guy.
The Democratic Party is anxious to pick up seats in Congress, and they're rethinking their strategy by supporting pro-life Democratic candidates. The chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee saying this, quote, "There is not a litmus test for Democratic candidates. As we look at candidates across the country, you need to make sure you have candidates that fit the district, that can win these districts across America." The hot-button issue is coming to the forefront in Arkansas's most populous 2nd district with a pro-life Democratic candidate who is also a farmer and a teacher and on the ballot for the very first time. Joining us now is that Democratic congressional candidate, Paul Spencer. Thanks for being with us, Paul.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So I'm curious, why are you, if you're pro-life, why are you a Democrat?
Well, my stance on pro-life issues extends vastly more than just espousing that somebody be born. I think that life is sacred from the moment of conception, but I also think that same life that dignity of that life needs to be upheld through all stages of that life. So, you know, I believe that this life is sacred. Once the child's born, I believe that we have a responsibility to support the mother. You know, a lot of times you have crisis pregnancies, and a lot of times there just aren't the social safety nets in place to help entice a person experiencing a crisis pregnancy to bring that child to term. So I believe that we need to support life through all of its stages.
Okay,
and I think that the Democratic Party is very good about, at least has a track record of being very good about espousing those types of programs.
Even though they support Planned Parenthood and want to fund Planned Parenthood, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think that, you know, you have established case law now, and a lot of people look at an institution like Planned Parenthood, but we see in instances like Texas, where access to Planned Parenthood has been reduced, that the abortion rate has gone up and maternal deaths have gone up. So whereas I am a pro-life candidate and I believe deeply in pro-life issues, I also have to look at this in a somewhat more pragmatic way, and my personal opinion on Planned Parenthood is I would be hesitant about defunding it at this time. I think that until you have a Medicare for All type of a program that can provide assistance to the child and the mothers and other types of screenings for breast cancer and so forth, it's folly to just, you know, use the, you know, kind of a giant eraser and erase all these social safety net programs. And it is a very controversial program.
It absolutely is.
I'll give you that.
There has been a lot of groups that are pro-choice that have come out saying that they don't think that if you are pro-life, you should be a Democrat. They don't want you to run. I'm sure you've heard about some of these comments that have been made from different organizations and from different celebrities. What's your reaction to that?
Well, here in Arkansas, we're kind of a different kind of a political animal down here. We tend to think for ourselves in a lot of ways. And the party down here and its chairman, Michael John Gray, has made it very, very clear that this is an open tent party here in Arkansas. And I've been very pleased with the reception that I've gotten. That's not to say that there have been individuals, you know, that have not said things about my candidacy, and I'm sure there will be more that do that. But I've not seen any kind of organized pushback against my candidacy per se. Particularly, like, again, I want to say that the party here has been very welcoming to me.
All right, Paul Spencer, we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Well, that poor man. I mean, he just hasn't figured it out yet, that he's not welcome. I mean, I know it was quick. I mean, I said, hey, where are the Blue Dog Democrats? And the next day, it was like, oh, excuse me, they're not welcome here. If you are pro-life, if you are anti-abortion, if you are anti-pro-choice, if you cannot gather your strength to defer the responsibility to someone else and never own it, you cannot be a part of the Democratic Party. Isn't that interesting? This is so weird. It's like Nazi handbook, page 5. Who to exclude, especially those who have moral bounds and some sort of inner moral compass. Get rid of those first. I think that's page 1 of the handbook. I don't know if there's a handbook. I'm not really sure. You know, so speaking of the benefits of ignoring reality and looking at what we need and what is beneficial to the world and beneficial to... Because, you know, they say that because if you're pro-life or anti-abortion, then you're anti-women. You are especially you're anti-minority women. So what else are they against as far as, you know, the environment? You should be driving an electric car as opposed to a non-electric car, right? You should be driving at least a Prius or a hybrid of some sort. It has been marketed to the extent that it's the thing to do. even if it doesn't get that much of a better gas mileage. Now, there are some are. You don't have to use gas at all in some respects. But look at it in the perspective that you've got Teslas. Okay, if you want an SUV the size of the one that I have that uses gas, you have to spend $100,000. I mean, you have to be a rich person who can afford fossil fuels. So it's not because you're trying to save money. Okay, it's because you think either it's the next best thing and you want to be cool, or you've bought into the fact that were bought into the opinion that you think fossil fuel is evil. Yeah, it's dirty, but it doesn't have to be. There are experts on regulating that, and there are experts that are within those companies that are looking for ways to make it cleaner. There are ways that the surplus of money that they get, they use that for experiments with other fuels. I mean, it's all good. Fossil fuels are not bad. And let me give you another example of why. Is because you've got a demand for electric batteries for cars specifically. You can't have just any old electric battery. The one that goes in your PC, that one under, extreme pressure and puncture will melt down and burn down the plane, right? That's bad. Well, you can't have that in a car, right? You can't have that. So you have to have some extreme batteries if you want an electric car. And part of these extreme batteries, the element that you need, the mineral, is cobalt. And that element is mined by children in Africa. And they just did a video on the exposure, the horror that these children are exposed to. Now, I'm not stupid. I've done adoptions. I've worked with the Congo. The Democratic Republic of the Congo has been in a wartime situation for a very long time. And as a result of that, you've got complete desperation, dysfunctionality, poverty, HIV, war, got a lot of guns. I like guns typically, but for some reason, the Congo has guns but no food, and it's a very bad place where a lot of people die at a very young age. And so, as a result, you have a lot of children who are lost. And they get swept up into a slave pool, basically, and are mining whatever. It used to be gold, diamonds, now it's cobalt. So if you think that buying an environmentally friendly car is the best thing that you could do to save the world, let me show you a little video. See if I can find it. I don't know what I did with it. Well, I might have to show it to you another time, because I might not have uploaded it. But maybe we can do it now. I think we might be able to. Won't that be exciting? Video. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm talking about right here. We're going to play it right now. Look at this technology working. This is amazing. This is not amazing. These children are being slaves, are being made into slaves, and they have been for a while, but that doesn't change the doesn't change anything. It's very, very wrong. And the governments won't do anything about it. The government is completely incompetent. And I'm sorry, Congo, but they have different entities that don't work together. And, adoption is a crazy, crazy thing. You can't even get the kids out to rescue them from this kind of thing. And kids that have no identity, these kids who are lost or stolen to work in this slave trade, there's no hope for them other than the demand stops. So, again, if you think that you're doing a whole lot by poo-pooing fossil fuels and fossil companies, please rethink that.
Da. Tena mimi nasikia sana mkongo inauma. Kama mimi natumia mkongo unaumaka na mbavu na alikula kinapita kile nyuma.
So anyway, that's just recently come out. Now they're not going to play that on mainstream media. They're not going to do it. And they've taken a almost a vow to do and to not play anything that may look like they don't know what they're doing on the liberal left side. That their answers to these world problems aren't really answers to the problems. They may be just things that they came up with, and they really want some praise for it. And that's not the point. You don't solve problems. You don't serve people and be great leaders and have the expertise to help us and dig us out of these types of problems and not have and not recognize those consequences. This company, I mean, you talk about Sri Lankan kids making your underwear, and really liking your cheap underwear and things. That's one thing. But look at this. You think, I didn't buy any African diamonds, so I'm good for life. I'm going to get into heaven. I mean, this is not good. This is not good. And we'll look deeper into it. We'll look at it and look at how much of this cobalt is used in other things that we use. I mean, cobalt is an element that is in our batteries. It's in our things. So we'll look at this specifically a little bit more. No one's to blame specifically, okay? It's just that now that we know, now that we are aware, maybe we can do something about not demanding that it's a moral thing when you don't know what you're talking about. Being not a part of the Paris Accord is not a moral question, and unless you're referring to the millions of jobs that would have been lost and never grown, the manufacturing that would never happen, the innovation in this country that would not be able to happen because fossil fuels and manufacturing and power companies would have been snuffed out by the Paris Accord. Would have been a death blow to our country. But yet, you had a huge voice out there saying, "You're so bad. You're so bad. You have no moral compass. The children are going to flood." These kids in the Congo are hoping for a tidal wave. It's not good. So, kids. Let's go back to, I really want to talk more about what Tucker did, but you know what? Oh, and by the way, the VP, the vice president. So, in this new environment, our president is allowing you to have more of a voice, and I just see it. I feel like you can now pull together your principles, your innermost voice that you've been wanting to say. Wasn't that the biggest line? Everybody said that, oh, well, this president says things that we were all thinking, but not, brave enough to say. Well, why aren't you brave enough to say it now? That's the other half of it. You have a leader who's gone over and beyond to kick butt for you. But yet you're afraid to wear the shirt. You're afraid to wear the hat. I feel you. I've had my car peed on, so I'm a little worried about that. I'm very anal about my car. I'm very anal about the paint. I don't want it peed on, especially if I'm not near a hose and I can't rinse it off because it eats my paint. I'm not so much offended, it's that it eats my paint. But I understand your angst about being vocal about it. In fact, we've almost been told that we were way too vocal about it during the Obama administration, and now we have to shut up. Well, we don't. In fact, to give your president a little bit more confidence, it's not that he doesn't know you love him. He knows. He knows you don't believe the polls. He knows that you see what's going on. He knows that you're happy with your new job. He knows what you're not happy with, and that's the lack of progress in our Congress. But he's going to do his damnedest to do what he can, and he doesn't care who you blame. He's just going to do his job, and that's what we know is the answer. If they all had the same answer, just do your job. We'd be in a much better place today. And so I'm hoping that this defection of Democrats keeps going. I mean there's probably going to be like a critical mass where like you're only going to get like 5. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but I would say that after 5 you'd be like, look what we can do, and we start doing things, and they're just going to go away. It's the third option here. It's the thrice option. I think we should have thrice everything. We should have a thrice president. We got Pence, but now we need a thrice president, like Kellyanne Conway. She can be the thrice president. We don't necessarily have to like bump her up above Tillerson, but I think the thrice president has got a little bit more ring to it. I was just saying. Then Polster? Come on, Polster. Let's call it the thrice president. The Democrat dysphoria. That's a problem, but it's actually kind of a good thing if you look at that guy. He's so confused. He's like, but they have a reputation for taking care of the women who have trauma after the kids are born. Says who? And compared to what? Only Democrats take care of women? They're the only ones that volunteer for church outreach, women's groups, people who are out there trying to teach women how to recover from being beaten, to have no fear. Do you think those are all Democrats? Really? Anyway, he knows it's not true. He's just a little worried about coming over. It's okay. Come on over. Come on over. We are welcoming. They don't care about you. They're not going to support you in your campaign or your election. If you don't look, and I'm sorry, you don't look like that little celebrity guy. I mean, the guy who looked like he could be in Georgia. What's his name? Could have been, he's the young Lincoln. He's going to play the new young Lincoln in our Hollywood narrative of the presidency. If you don't fit that picture, if you don't fit that image, sorry, you're not getting any money from them. That's just the way it is now. But I don't know. They don't want to accept anybody that's not pro-abortion because it is anti-women. So weird. But I hope more guys are like that. I mean, it's like the third option to, we can't re-elect, like I said, you can't re-elect these guys who are in the establishment. I mean, you can re-elect them. That's the whole thing, is that you keep re-electing them, and then when they're done, they put someone else that's just like them for you to elect. So that was the conundrum of saying, well, we're just going to vote you out of office. We'll vote for someone else. I mean, you could say, well, I'm going to vote for a Democrat, but this is what you have to we have to work with. Paul Spencer? I mean, we'll take him. Okay, we'll take him. We'll take him for a vote, but whew. Slim pickings. Slim pickings. Let's take a break, and then I will tell you something else. And I told you to be working on this, so you better have an answer. Thinking about what I'm talking about. In the meantime, you know what Donald Trump needs to do? This is what he needs to do.
So what would you say to a bully? Zach?
I don't know.
No, come on. If someone was right up in your grill, what would you say?
I don't know.
If someone was pushing you around, telling you what to do, what would you say?
Step off.
Step off!
What the devil are you doing in the street dressed like that?
Sheriff, I'm the kilted realtor. I'm here to sell this house. You know, Scottish, kilt.
Oh, yes, I get it. Like Braveheart. Just like Braveheart.
Yes, sir. Whatever works, Sheriff.
So tell me now, how exactly do you sell a house dressed like that?
Well, Sheriff, my name is Corey McDonald, and we Scots are known for a hard work ethic and that we can be trusted.
Oof, that gives me an idea. Do you think that you could help me get my young son Junior in a house?
Well, Sheriff, I'd be proud to find Junior a house and walk him through step by step.
I can't wait to tell Junior he's moving out.
Well, Sheriff, you tell Junior and anyone else you know they can reach me at 832-638-2379 or go to my website, kilted-realtor.com.
This is my lucky day. So long, Junior. You got a new home thanks to the Kilted Realtor.
So, the president is giving you an open voice. He's given that openness, that license to be loud about your beliefs, about your ethics, because it seems like the only side that's being loud about it is the one that doesn't make any sense. And so people are tuning it out, and it's got a little bit of a silence here. So the silent majority now can take advantage of the silence that is right now, the confusion. You know, they're regurgitating Russia stories. They are grasping to anything. And like I said, they grasp onto easy things that they don't have to really prove. And they don't have a lot of meat in those. The meatiest that they get are ones that they get from this impeachment team, which you might think is the deep state, but it's a whole bunch of different entities. Maxine Waters, you've got the deep state, which is the intelligence community leaking things. You've got CNN, the Clinton News Network, working against our president. He's working beyond that, just so you know. And I think that you know that. But in the meantime, you have these people in the mainstream media who are being very transparent about where they are in reality. It's not here. It's in their own little world where they think Russia is a big deal in a wrong kind of way. They think leaking this sort of thing is going to help them prove that point, whatever it is, and they just go with it, and then they end up proving themselves wrong. And just so you know, like, this stuff is only brought up involuntarily. Things like emails from President Clinton that were erased or destroyed. It's only brought up more. I mean, they can't ignore it. They can't ignore it because the things that they are bringing up brings these things up. Remember Loretta Lynch? Remember Debbie Wasserman Schultz? They are all being investigated right now. I mean, I don't know what you want to call it because they're not calling it in the mainstream media, but they are being investigated. They are looking into this stuff. They are going to stop the leaks. And because that's the only way that this president can fight back. And I also wanted to say the proof is out there because you have the reporters saying that Donald Trump isn't a detail kind of guy. He just can't tell us what he's doing because he doesn't have the capability. The administration is so discombobulated, they have no way of telling us what's happening because they don't know. You'd like to think that, wouldn't you? But they really do think that. The mainstream media believes that. You don't believe that. Do you get anything done without a plan? Do you get to the presidency of, let's just take that. Do you get to the presidency of the United States of America without a plan? Let's just think about that. When someone says you can be anything that you set your mind to, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? You go like, I could be the president of the United States? That's got to be some plan. That's got to be some mind. Yeah, like one that pays attention to detail. The one that kind of like uses detail, the one that kind of like studies things, the one that kind of like remembers things, the one that's kind of like sober and stays sober. That would be our president. So the fact that they really are openly saying that they don't think that our president is smart, that they think he's dumb, but also really showing that they think this, that they think they're smarter. That should be great news to you, because he definitely has a plan. He is so detailed and so planned out in advance that, like, I really do believe he has a time machine. I mean, the things that lay out, like he is, I mean, he can't apparently get the Congress to work, which is a big flaw. But you can't force people to do that. I mean, till the last minute, they were on board with his plan. So whatever happens, like I said, at the last minute, which it always does, you can't count on them. I just feel like they're too separate from him. He's dancing on his own. He's lightning on his feet, and that's what people don't see. And what you think is happening in regards to the media, saying that, you know, there's all this obstruction, he can't do anything, he's discombobulated, blah, blah, blah. He's not discombobulated. There's a plan. There's a well-executed plan behind everything, and that's how things get done. They're not always going to succeed. Not everything is going to work out, even with plans, even with timing, time management, all that kind of stuff. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the time management of this guy is ridiculously awesome. Let me give you a point. Did you know that in 1999, he started talking about the North Korea threat? Not that the North Korea threat wasn't a threat then, but like, and people wouldn't be talking about it. But he was talking about it in terms of what he would do as president. That's nearly 20 years ago. And who goes on public television owning that kind of thing? Like, yeah, I'm going to be president someday. Why don't you go ahead and ask me? And this is Meet the Press. So don't think that they didn't at that very moment decide in those realms, holy crap, this guy might be president someday. We need to start keeping tabs on him. And that's what they've been doing. And that's what they've been doing. And if that worries you because you're like, oh my gosh, like he's such a loose cannon, you know, no telling what he has in his background. Yeah, but, you know, the worst part of it, I think, is already out there. Because I think, like I said, he's been keeping a sober tab on himself. Just keeping in mind that I might be president someday, in his mind is saying, I can't do this, I can't get involved with them, I'm not going to trust them. I'm going to listen to the people I do trust, like my brother and my father and other people that I trust, and I'm going to make the best of it. And I'm going to keep working no matter what it ends up being. Like our last guest was saying, he says, you don't necessarily, you know, go into medical school or something. You may end up a doctor. You may end up in business. But it's concentrating on your skill. It's concentrating on getting that experience in what you want to do and what you want to be good at. And Donald Trump, from a very young age, has been inching towards something greater. And he knows that's his purpose. The difference between him and the presidents of the past that we have learned the hard way not to trust. I mean, I get you. I know why you don't trust these presidents. I know why you don't. I know why you have this inner alarm clock that says, okay, now when is it time to pull back? When is it time to hold back? It's just like business. If you're not confident, you hold back. You fire people. You don't hire people. You cut people down to half time. President Trump knew this was his purpose and is confidently moving forward, as opposed to other presidents who felt they were entitled. They didn't have to make sure that they had practiced and studied being a good person and being a good businessman and being a good deal maker. They hadn't thought that they actually had to practice, because someone a long time ago told them that they were going to be president. And they were like, really? And they were like, yeah, this is what you are entitled to do. And this is what you're entitled to do. And this is what you're entitled to do. And they've been carrying them along the whole way. And eventually you find something that they slipped up on big because they didn't really think that they deserved to be president. At one point in their lives, they just lost that motivation. And they regained it, obviously, but that's where you find out these things about our presidents and our leaders that we just are disheartened by and things. And I know you're waiting for that straw to fall. And that chemical, and that camel, that back of the camel to just break in two. I know you're waiting for that. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think that's where you should gain this confidence from, is that he's known for a very long time what his purpose was, not what his entitlement was. And he's lost some. He's gained some and lost some, but he's gained a lot more than he has lost because of his learning ability. His ability to stay soberly and focused and engaged in what he wants to be, which is a good leader. And then eventually it got to his mind that he might actually be president someday. Because look at this. Okay, I know it was in 1999 that he had the okay, so it was at the same time. So he met the press. He went on Meet the Press, and they asked him about North Korea. And he's talking about North Korea as if this is what I'm going to do. He goes, you just bargain with them. He says they're going to laugh at you. He says every time you do something and don't have consequences for it, after, you know, the 1,000th time, they're laughing at you. This was back in 1999. This is what he was talking about, as if it was today. It's the same philosophy. It's the same theory. It's the same plan. Back in 1999, I'm telling you, this man has a time machine. He has a time machine. He went back and he was like, what did I say? Okay, we're going to stick to that. So, I mean, maybe it's just the internet. That's the time machine. So he gets on Meet the Press. He talks about North Korea so strategically and so, I don't know, articulately, that people picked up the antenna and they went, uh-oh, this guy's going to be president someday. In fact, Pat Nixon, who has a reputation of, or did have a reputation of being kind of the raven of knowing who was going to be president, she told Donald Trump, she goes, you're going to be president. Now, I think Richard told President Trump, that sent a note over and said, you know, Pat thinks you're going to be president someday. Don't think that didn't sink in. He did. It sank in hard, and he has been studying how to be a better leader, a better business guy. He has also been entrenched with the types of people that he is now fighting against. And when you saw the tweets against, you know, the Morning Joe twins, or whatever they are, they're just gross. They're just gross. I don't want to think of them as a couple. I just, kind of like a gross embodiment that divided, and they go after the bacteria together. I don't know. They are bacteria. The tweet, in retribution to what they've been doing as far as dogging him and trying to desecrate his administration, he cut them where it hurt. It was with the truth, and it was socially. And ever since then, that the couple of days that they had the sympathy, please feel sorry for us, because we take the upper road. We are the good guys. I mean, people know who these people are. They know how nasty these people are in reality, and they just kind of went, okay. And do you get what I'm saying? They're not holding a lot of water right now. They're not getting a lot of praise right now. Despite what Donald Trump said. And this is what happens. Once the sting it stops stinging, everybody kind of goes, yeah, well, that was a good thing. I guess we needed that. Thank you for slapping us in the face. Thank you for slapping them in the face. Really. So, that's it. I mean, don't think that you don't need to have confidence. Don't think you need to hold back some part of yourself. That's what the whole point is that you are supposed to be excited about your president. You are supposed to be able to give undue respect without being chastised. You're going to be chastised. It's a free country. But has time changed so much that we can't respect each other? At all? I don't think so. I think President Trump is physically and verbally and everything he can do to be an example of a person who is giving you open license on doing. No matter what you think about yourself, as far as, if you're going to question yourself, well, I don't know if I'm a big fan of Trump, but I don't know if I'm a good representative of him. I mean, look at me. I'm slovenly. Or maybe I'm a rich guy or something like that. I don't want everybody to think Donald Trump is a rich, only has rich guy friends. So maybe I'm not the best example to go out there. See what I'm saying? There's so many layers, so it doesn't matter. That point is moot. The only point that matters is that we are all points of light pointing towards this leadership and giving him the power to move forward and do what he can do. Now, if we can grab some more points of light along the way, as far as getting some of these Democrats that really do believe in life. This poor gentleman, Paul Spencer, I'm making fun of him because of the dysphoria, his defective Democrat dysphoria. I'm making fun of him in that way, but I hope that he understands that the label isn't what is important. Being on a team that's moving forward is. So if we want to call him the new Democrats or the new Republicans or whatever he wants to be, join our movement. We've owned it. We've owned the Republican name, even though we disagree with it sometimes. It's okay. If you want to be a Democrat, it's not okay. You have to be A, B, C, or D. And if you are not any of those things, then you are against A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the world, space, frogs. If you're against any of those things, you cannot belong in the Democratic Party. So they are going to have a very small group pretty soon. I mean, is this really how you reorganize? Is this how you regroup and refocus your leadership towards something progressive or productive? I mean, it's weird because I keep catching these little sound bites of what's my favorite guy? Where am I? Charlie. Nope. I'll think of it in a minute. But you see people are kind of like having more neutral statements, where last week it was like this vicious rhetoric, but today it's more neutral. They're trying to find neutral ground because they don't know what else to talk about. North Korea seems to be their neutral ground, ironically enough. So that's what I'm going to close with today, because there's not so much to say, but I hope by August 21st, and I really hope, and I'm really serious about this, that you have put some thought into preparing your family for whatever comes your way. I know it's weird, but get your prepping things done. Get some things done, please. Just think about it. And if this is your excuse to just look into it, use it. Because some people are scared, and you don't want to be scared. Okay, so the North Koreans are not something you should really worry about. The problem is going to be taken care of. But when I say that, there's never an easy answer. The options are not going to be pretty. And so if we have any sort of fallout, if we have any sort of interruption from this, you're going to want to be prepared for that. You're going to want to have something to make you feel more normal. And that might be having a lot of water, having guns, having a car that was made before 1980. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there because we're running out of time. And you don't want to be not having all your lug nuts loose, according to Rocky. All right, well, if you enjoyed the show today, I hope you did. I am going to get out of here, but I would love for you to email me at theravenmessage7@gmail.com, tecntv. Always go there, check it out, check out our other hosts. We all tell you like it is. We tell you the truth. We don't try to make up stuff to make it exceptionally exciting. We are just exceptional individuals. And that we don't make an exception when it comes to telling you stuff that means something to you, tells you something that is not fake, and gives you something to work with. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Please go also look at Rocky Romanella's book, Tighten the Lug Nuts. Go look it up. It'll be a good gift for any person going into school, high school, college, adult, you. All right. Take care. Bless you, everybody. The Raven is out.